Have you ever felt like you just never have enough time to get everything done that you wish you could? You plan, you create systems, you put in place processes to help you get as much done as you possibly can, but it still never really feels like enough. And as a dad to a now 1-year-old, I know this feeling all too well. Instead of sitting around and just stressing about it though, I choose to learn how I can improve my time management. That's where this book comes in, Procrastinate on Purpose. Something that I'm learning from this book right now is that time management, it's a myth. We all have 24 hours in a day, and it's gonna be that way for the rest of our lives. Those hours do not change for each and every one of us, which means at the end of the day, none of us have the capability to add time or build in more time throughout a day. There's only 24 hours. So we have to take a step back and understand, how do we maximize each moment throughout the 24 hours we get in a day? Maximizing our days and making them optimal for what we want out of life means that we have to take a step back and understand, what do we want, why do we want it, and how are we gonna go about achieving it? You can use a whiteboard to figure that out. And when I think about my personal life and what do I want to achieve and how I'm going to go about doing it, I want to utilize the concept that he talks about in the book, which is self-management, which then I break down into 3 key pieces. How do I manage my physical health? How do I manage my spiritual health? And how do I manage my mental health? And those are 3 key things that I believe that if we manage throughout our days, we are going to have a great life. If I'm focused on building the best systems and processes to achieve great physical, mental, and spiritual health, everything else is gonna fall in line. So in the rest of this video, I'm gonna go through some sections of self-management that I know will help you more than focusing on time management. The first thing I wanna focus on is physical health. When we think about self-management of our physical health, we wanna think of this framework: reducing friction. You wanna make it as easy as possible for yourself to get in your exercise each and every day. Now, the cool thing is you can use your body weight anywhere in the world. You can literally be in your living room, in your kitchen, in the bathroom, outside. If you understand how to use your body weight, you can get exercise in. Now, if you're like me and you don't wanna just do body weight movements, the next step that you can do is build a gym into your house. You don't have to make it as extensive as I have. This is something that I used to dream about. And before this, all I had was a little barbell or some dumbbells and some kettlebells that I could use in a small space. So it can look differently for different people, but the main focus is on how do you reduce friction so at any given point you can get in your exercise, and that's going to help you in a lot of other areas in your life. The next step in personal self-management is nutrition. What are you eating every single day? And what you eat every single day typically stems from what you're putting in your refrigerator and what you're putting in your pantry. So what we want to do is we want to reduce friction for you to put healthy foods in your refrigerator and in your pantry so that at any given moment they are readily available. The ways to do this are to either use Whole Foods Prime Delivery, use Instacart, or something like Costco delivery. My wife and I tend to use Whole Foods for certain things. We do HEB Instacart for certain things. We utilize Costco delivery, and we also use Thrive Market to deliver foods to our house so that we can be sure we are getting the most nutrient-dense foods possible. The last part of my nutritional process, supplements. Creatine, electrolytes, things like Armra, colostrum. I utilize supplements to not only help me get the nutrients that I need, but to help me perform better mentally, physically, and spiritually. So touching on all the things here in the self-management video, I utilize supplements to help with them. And now we're outside. We are going to talk about rest and recovery. That is the third aspect when I think of physical self-management. We started with the exercise, then we hit nutrition, and now it's rest and recovery. So at my house, I have reduced friction when it comes to recovery because I have a sauna right here. I also have a polar monkey right here. And when I travel, I have an ice barrel right here. So at all times, I am thinking about how do I get in sports recovery, and sauna and ice are huge on my list for that. I'm very aware that not everybody has the financial capability to add all the items that I just showed into the recovery routine. So instead of focusing on those, I want to focus on the number one thing that anybody can improve is sleep. I use a Whoop, which is right here, an Oura Ring. I also have a Coros watch that tracks my sleep. I have a Chili Pad right here to help me reduce the temperature of the bed to help me with my sleep. Again, these are all tools. They're not needed for you to improve your sleep. There are things that you can do to help you understand what's going to lead to better sleep. Temperature, heart rate, HRV, all of these things are going to impact how you're going to sleep each and every night. Some of the things that I've done that have nothing to do with these tools is I tend to eat earlier in the day, try to eat by 5 or 6 p.m. dinner so that I have a 5-hour gap before I go to bed. What this does is it's going to reduce my heart rate, reduce my temperature, and allow me to get more quality sleep. Other things that I do to help with sleep is I never bring my phone into bed. I'm not scrolling right before bed, and I make sure that I have a wind down process at the end of the night. So no laptops, no iPads, nothing right in front of my face. I'm making sure that I'm resting before I go to bed, and that ensures that I get the highest quality deep sleep possible. Anybody in the world can focus on improving their quality of sleep. We touched on exercise, nutrition, and recovery, but I left one thing out, and that's hydration. One of the things that my wife and I did when we got this house was we invested in a better water system. We know that the key to performance, yes, it's food, yes, it's exercise, it's sleep, it's all those things, but hydration is huge. Without water, we can literally not survive. So we focus on little things as improving the quality of our water because we know we're gonna drink roughly a gallon of it a day, and it's gonna be something that's going to impact everything else that we're doing. So if there is one takeaway that you have from this little section, please remember reducing friction is the key to optimal self-management. We have the gym to reduce the friction of us exercising. We have the recovery stuff to help us reduce the friction of how we recover. We have invested in a water system to make sure that we reduce the friction of getting clean water. We're constantly reinvesting our time, money, and energy into reducing friction to improve our health. The next part of self-management, and this is something that I think not enough people talk about, is management of the mind. Every single morning when you wake up, you are going to be pulled in a million different directions. And if you cannot manage your own internal voice, then you're gonna struggle big time to succeed in anything that you want to succeed at in life. And one of the things that when I look back on my own life, I've taken a step back, I've realized that I have a monkey brain. I'm all over the place all the time. And really the only solution to that has been more of a spiritual practice, meditation, of understanding that it's okay for me to have first thoughts, but it's not okay for me to take that first thought and react or act on it without really reflecting and understanding, is this a thought that I truly want to lean into, or is it just something that's coming and going? So one of the things that I've really instilled in my life is to be more mindful of my thoughts, and taking time to meditate has been one of the major ways to do so. I've found also that if you struggle to meditate, just like anything else, giving yourself the ability to reduce the friction of doing so, one of the ways I do it, like I mentioned, in front of the red light, that's my keystone habit. I put this, I sit down in front of it, and then I take some moments to understand the thoughts that are going in my mind. Another big thing for me spiritually that, again, I don't think it's talked about enough when it comes to spiritual practice and how we feel spiritually, it's community. So I have a podcast and I like to do it in person because for me, it's very fulfilling. I also am a part of a men's group called Men in the Arena, where we host bi-weekly men's workouts. That helps me fill up my cup, fill up my spirit, so that I can be the best version of myself and then allow that to overflow into each and every other thing that I have out there. So if you're somebody that's looking to improve your energy and improve that spirit, you don't just have to rely on church or faith or religion. There's other ways to go about it. Those ways are great as well. But I like to look at it from a sense of how can I surround myself with other high energy, high spirited people, and that's gonna fill me up. The last thing I do for self-management of spirit is journal and reflect. If I'm ever feeling a certain type of way, I make sure that I write it out because that allows me to see my thoughts on paper and understand myself better. The better I understand myself, the better I can understand the world around me and then lead in a way that's more empathetic, kind, and responsive rather than reactive. This has been a major game changer for me. It is something that I didn't do in my past, and now it's something I recommend everyone do. Another little tip is I like to use unlined paper, so that way I can just be super creative with it. It's very flowy, I can just dump whatever I want on the pages, and that allows me to really understand who I am, why I am the way I am, and what are the things that I want to achieve in my lifetime. Okay, we've done physical self-management, spiritual self-management. Now we're at my favorite one, which is mental self-management. And the thing that I think of when it comes first to mental self-management is understanding, why are we here on this planet? What are we here to do, achieve? Who are we here to become? It's something that I often think about. It can also bleed, that question can also bleed into spiritual and physical. But when I'm thinking of the mental, I'm thinking of frameworks and mental models that help me live in the way that I want to live. I then take action on those thoughts through my spirit, my energy, and my physical presence. So it's really key, it's vital to understand the mental aspect of self-management. And for me recently, the number one thing that I've been thinking through are, what are my missions in life? And these are two that I've just written down recently. Empower people to be of healthy mind, body, spirit, and utilize their energy to create abundance and wealth for everyone around them. It's a major reason I'm even creating this video. I am working to figure out what it is that I want to bring to this world. What do I feel like I can do better than other people out there? Not from an ego standpoint, but from a willingness to serve and help others. And one of the things that I think I do best is provide frameworks that help other people maximize their own life to thrive on life. They are able to take the frameworks and the things that I take about, integrate them into their own life, and their life gets better. Therefore, everyone's lives around them gets better. That is my mission. That is my goal. I know though that I cannot fulfill that mission unless I do two things. I reflect and understand where are my weaknesses, and then because of those weaknesses, I learn to educate myself and get better and improve. And then the second thing is I analyze the things that I'm doing that are working really well. So 2 parts: reflect on what are my weaknesses and how do I improve them through reading and continuous learning and surrounding myself with others that are better than me, but also reflecting on what am I great at, analyzing that, and then tripling down in those areas. And the last thing I want you to consider when you're thinking about self-management of your mind, is how do you get rid of certain things that are inducing a great amount of mental stress? So whether it's people, places, meaning your environment, the things you're putting into your body, the different actions that you're taking that are leading to mental stress, the result of that is going to be poor decision making. And I know this better than anybody. I used to party a lot. I drank a lot of alcohol, smoked weed pretty much every day. And this worsened my physical and spiritual recovery, mental recovery, and that led to poor decision making day over day. Immediately upon getting rid of both those substances, while also cleaning up my life in other areas, allowed me to make better decisions on a daily basis. And those decisions end up compounding to provide me a better life overall. The goal of this video was to help you see that you shouldn't be striving to manage your time. You should instead be looking at your life and how are you managing yourself. If you manage yourself in a physical, spiritual, and mental way, and you learn to reduce the friction in those areas to allow you to have an optimal life in those 3 categories, everything else in life is going to work itself out. We all have 24 hours in a day. We all are allotted the same amount of time in a day to do the things that we say we want to do. But the difference is how each of us are showing up in those days. How are we managing our physical, mental, and spiritual health? That's the difference. And that's why I want to provide you with tools, tactics, and techniques to help you live optimally and thrive on life.